If the government knows how to use the 282 and build bridges with opposition, I think a lot of things which could not be done by a minority government or a government which did not have an absolute majority in the Lok Sabha can be done. Therefore, this is a great opportunity to push through financial sector reform and the bills and the ideas which were conceived perhaps by previous governments, but they did not have the opportunity to push them through.
Is a lot of opposition merely political rhetoric today?
See, opposition's business is to oppose. You can't reject it as political rhetoric. What was the BJP doing when it was in opposition? So it is the responsibility of the government to use its majority. But I think they have shot themselves in the foot. In fact, they are shooting themselves every day in the foot by allowing voices of distraction to cloud the agenda, to divert the agenda. I think the focus on reform, on development, which they promised, is not there. Because that focus is not there, this 282 seems a wasted majority.
Would you expect or would you want Finance Minister Jaitley to stick to the roadmap that you've laid out as far as fiscal consolidation is concerned, or do you believe he needs to spur public investment, because private investment hasn't kick-started, it hasn't taken off, and this has to be done if it's done in the quest of boosting growth?
The first part of your question, answer is absolutely. He should stick to the fiscal consolidation map. If he swerves from that path, I'm afraid he flunks the exam. After that, it doesn't matter whether he writes the second paper well or the third paper well.
Right.
He's flunked the exam. I think he has enough fiscal space to do what he wants to do, but I would urge him strongly to stick to the fiscal consolidation path, if I may add, notwithstanding his chief economic advisor or the vice chairman of the Niti Aayog.
A lot of economists, including the two gentlemen that you named, do believe that if fiscal slippage is allowed in the quest of growth, it is perhaps going to be pardonable. Do you believe ratings agencies will buy that, or will they actually take them to the cleaners?
I'm telling you, if he slips on the fiscal deficit target, he will flunk the exam, and the rating agencies will be merciless.
What would you want this budget to state? SOPs, enablers, fiscal incentives for making India to be a real reality?
I think they act first and think later. Before you announced a slogan like Make in India from the Red Fort, you should have thought through the whole thing. You need land, you need power, you need technology, and above all you need capital. So they should have addressed the constraints to these factors. I think they have not really addressed the need to go out and meet investors. See, investment is an act of faith. I have dealt with hundreds of multinationals.
That's right.
No multinational board, no CEO of a multinational wakes up in the morning and says, oh my God, I have to invest in India. So you have to woo the multinational, woo the company to invest in India.
But one would actually believe that this government is doing a lot of that. They're actually going out of their way to woo India in, to woo the global investor.
I think they're wooing NRIs, not investors.
And that's the difference.
They're addressing rallies in Madison Avenue and some Sydney cricket ground. What you should be addressing is the Japanese organization called Kedarna.
But will you?
They should address the chambers of commerce. They should address the sector associations.
But do you believe he is going to move on GAR, or will that be deferred any further? If you say he should move on GAR, is the tax department ready for it?
Answer is yes, he should move forward on GAR, but the information that I'm getting is the tax department is not ready for it. I think they have not invested enough in training the officers on GAR, and an untrained officer, if GAR is placed in the hands of an untrained officer, it could lead to very bad consequences. So if you defer GAR, I can understand that, but if you bury GAR, I will criticize the government.
Do you fear it to be buried?
Well, the signals that are coming out is, I think they're preparing for a burial of GAR.
Corporate India has been the biggest votary of this government, and yet There are quarters that are talking about impatience, that are talking about not enough has been done. From where you see things, will you sympathize with Mr. Jaitley because you were also criticized despite having done so much? Or do you believe that impatience at one level is justified?
Well, I don't think we should worry too much about the praise, the criticism by corporate India, or be flattered by the praise they shower. For every voice of criticism, they have found another voice which says they're doing a great job.
There's a lot of chatter and talk in the corridors of power about the PMO's involvement in this budget. The Prime Minister has been very hands-on. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, if I hear, I don't know. You can confirm it if you know. I believe the PMO has been involved for several hours a day over the last 3 weeks. That I think is bad.
Why do you say so?
That I think is wrong. A finance minister must be allowed to make a budget. The Prime Minister must be able to stand back, look at the budget from an overall political, social point of view and say, good, not good enough, try to tweak here and tweak there. If the Prime Minister or the Prime Minister's office starts making the budget, who will stand back and look at the budget before it's presented?
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.